Hello, my name is Rob Jackson. I'm with the CAT Mini Excavator Product Group. Today what we're going to talk about is our new E-Series mini excavators. Behind me is a 304E. The E-Series for us goes all the way from the 303.5E up to the 308E. What we're going to show you today is the same from all the models from the 303.5, 304, 305, and the 305.5E. Very similar machines to the D-Series. The big difference that we have on the E is that we've added the compass monitor. What that monitor has done for us, it gives us 4 big features. First of which is an anti-theft. Second is continuous flow. Third is an economy mode. And fourth is adjustable auxiliary flow. We're going to show you all of those things along with the monitor itself. The reason we call it compass, it stands for Complete Operation, Maintenance, Performance, and Security System. And it does all of those different things. So those 4 main features are the ones that we've added on the E-Series, but for the most part the machines are very similar to the old D-Series with just some new features. So here we are at the front of the machine. There's a lot of features that we want to talk about just starting off here on the front. One of the biggest ones to start off with is the bucket rotation. Similar to our previous series machines, on the C and the D we have over 200 degrees of bucket rotation from our 3.5 ton all the way up to our 5.5 ton machine. Bucket rotation does a couple things for you. First of all, it has a lot of curl. So when you are truck loading, you're retaining all of that material. And second, it has a lot of dump. So when you are dumping the material, you can dump it closer to the machine and you get yourself a flat back wall to your trench without having to reposition as much. The next thing with our hydraulic coupler, that is new to the D-Series machine. We carried it over to the E. However, the way that we run the hydraulic coupler is a little bit differently because we do it on the compass monitor, and we'll show you that later. But this coupler, we have the same coupler, hydraulic and mechanical, works the same way, and you can front shovel. So in front shovel you get a lot of benefits as well. On the hydraulic lines that come down to the stick, we've done this pretty much the same way that we did it on the D-Series machines. You now get this additional bracket for a thumb. Your main lines are standard, and you can get either additional secondary lines or what you see here are the hydraulic quick coupler lines. And that's an option that we maintain on the E-Series. The machines are still thumb ready, and it's pretty easy to put in a thumb. The difference that we made on the E though is these auxiliary lines are actually adjustable, and you do that through the monitor. You can adjust those lines from 1 to 15. And that adjusts the flow. Essentially, each bar or each number on there is about a gallon per minute, and what it's doing is it's speeding up or slowing down the flow to the tool. In the middle section of the machine here, there's a couple different things to talk about. First of all, on the E-Series, what we did do is we've removed the swing stop that typically goes right here. The reason we did that is we still give you the holes to add one if you would like. The swing stop, what that does for you is it stops your boom swing at 50 degrees instead of going all the way over to 80 degrees. The E-Series machines are going to have the full 80 degrees of swing on the boom. If you want to limit that to 50 degrees, that's fine. You can just add that swing stop. As far as the blade goes, very similar to the D-Series. We have the straight blade, which is standard, or we still have the angle blade option. The angle blade is an option from our 303.5 all the way up to our 305.5, and we still have our cutouts here for your chains when you're chaining down the machine, so you can chain down the blade separately from the machine itself. So here we are in the back of the machine. We're going to talk about a couple things related to the engine and the hydraulic serviceability here. As far as the engine goes, the E-Series does have new engines. We have a new lineup of CAT engines. The 303.5 has the CAT C 1.8. The 304 to the 305.5 has the CAT C 2.4. And then the 308 has the C 3.3B. These engines are US Tier 4 interim engines, similar to what the D-Series was, and they're EU Stage 3A certified engines. We don't have to have a DPF, basically under 75 horsepower. It's a little bit easier to get to that point, so we don't have to add a DPF until we go to Tier 4 final. As far as the engine goes, these are very proven engines. As far as quality goes, they do have a engine kill switch, which is a cord that you pull, and then if you do take your SOS samples with the oil, you just take it through the dipstick there. This here is just your windshield washer fluid. If it's a cab machine, if it's a canopy machine, it would not have that. Everything is easily accessible. Your filter, easily accessible as well. And it's well laid out, easy to get to everything you need to as far as maintenance is concerned. On the right-hand side of the machine, there's a lot of things to talk about as far as the hydraulic serviceability goes. First of all, just the overall access of our hydraulic side of the machine is extremely good. Of course, years ago, we took all of this that was underneath the cab and we moved it to the outside, so you don't have to lift up the cab at all like you do on some other machines that you see out there. Some things to talk about as far as serviceability goes. First of all, on the fuel water separator, we did add back to it, we added the electronic priming pump. So all you have to do is turn the key to the start position. For about 15 seconds, it'll pump and fill itself up, so you don't have to pre-fill those fuel filters. This is our accumulator. So the machines from our 302.7 and up have an accumulator. What that does is it maintains constant pilot pressure, smooth controls, and then also it gives you the ability to have a dead engine lower for your blade or your boom. But most importantly, it also allows you to relieve the pressure to your auxiliary lines. Just turn the key to start, put the arm bar down, and hit your auxiliary control, and it'll release that pressure. We do have an SOS port on the main control valve here. We give you that just so you can pull that oil and do a sampling at about 500 hours. You don't have to change the oil on these machines till 3,000 hours or more, but we do like you to do some pretty consistent samplings. Two-way valve is right here. Just throw it up for two-way flow or down depending on which model it is for one-way flow. So depending on what tool you have, obviously a thumb would be two-way flow. A hammer, we would ask you to put it into one-way flow. Other than that, that's pretty it. It's pretty straightforward, but the biggest thing is that everything is to the right-hand side. Everything is extremely accessible. Nothing is under the engine, and all of these hoses do terminate underneath the cab, and we do have a access plate, so when you're inside the cab, you can just lift that floor panel, lift the access panel, and then you can get to the other end of these hoses as well. The next thing we're going to talk about is the cab and the features inside the cab, but before I even step in, I want to talk about this door. We do have a sliding door on our 3.5 to 5.5 ton machines. This sliding door does a couple things for you. First of all, it locks open and it locks closed very nicely. It doesn't rattle at all when you're inside the machine. More importantly, because it has a sliding mechanism on it, it follows the contour of the machine, so it doesn't stick out at all past the counterweight. So that's one advantage, is it's not going to get damaged as easily. The other advantage is these machines are parked up close to walls, buildings, houses, things like that. And as they are, parked that way, to get in and out of the machine is very easy because the door slides open instead of hinges open. So you have the ability to still get in and out of the machine even in tight spaces. Once inside the cab, there's a lot of nice features to talk about. Similar to the old D series, first of all, the front window is extremely easy to put up and down. It's got two gas-assisted struts, making that extremely easy. It locks into place very nicely. The lower window, still removable. Not only is it removable though, but more importantly, there's a place to store it. Right to your left, it locks into place and it does not rattle there. The side windows are both ventilated, so you can open the front and the back for better ventilation and to be able to talk to someone who might be in the back of the machine. And when starting our machines, similar to our previous models, we do have a safety interlock start. What that means is you cannot start our machines with the hydraulics live. Therefore, your arm bar has to be up, then you can start the machine, and then put it down, and that engages the hydraulics. If you don't have that relay, you can actually start the machine with the hydraulics live. We don't want you to be able to do that. That's why you have our arm bar up, then start the machine, and then engage the hydraulics. Similar to our previous models, we don't use any foot pedals. That does a couple things for you. First of all, it gives you a lot of room for your feet. So these are small cabs, but on our machine, we give you as much room as we possibly can. We give you a lot more room than what you're going to see on other machines for your feet, and we don't have those foot pedals. So we use 100% pilot controls. Your left thumb does your boom swing. Your right thumb runs your auxiliary hydraulics. Before I mentioned that we have an accumulator so you can relieve the pressure on your auxiliary lines. In order to do that, you just turn the key to start, put the arm bar down, and roll your right-hand roller switch, and that relieves your auxiliary pressure. And again, we don't have foot pedals, we don't have mechanical linkages. It's just a lot easier to run with your fingers. We did change the joysticks on the E series, so we actually now have similar joysticks as our backhoe loaders. They're well accepted, real slim, ergonomic joysticks. So we changed from the D to the E with a little bit different joystick, and we changed the position of our 2-speed switch. The 2-speed switch is now on the blade lever. We still have blade float, so when you put that the lever all the way down, the blade goes into a float mode. And we still have automatic 2-speed. So auto 2-speed is going to automatically sense when the machine is in high gear. When you go to push or turn, it's going to sense that pressure change. It's going to automatically go into low gear. You don't need to change. However, on the E-Series, we put that 2-speed switch on the blade lever just to make it a little bit easier to change. Now, the biggest change on the E-Series mini excavators is also our biggest improvement, and that comes from the compass control panel. You get this monitor on every machine, doesn't matter if it's a cab or a canopy, it comes standard and all the features are standard on it. It was designed specifically for mini excavators and has features that are best fit for our mini excavator customers. It stands for Complete Operation, Maintenance, Performance, and Security System, and it has features that are related to each one of those things. As far as operation goes, we're going to show you all of these, but it has an auxiliary adjustment, so auxiliary flow adjustment. By hitting a few buttons, you can change the auxiliary flow. It also has continuous flow, and you can control that through the monitor. And it has a pattern changer, so we no longer have a valve on the floor. You're actually just hitting a button on the monitor. As far as maintenance goes, you can maintain your service intervals and you can reset them as well. And then performance, it does have an economy mode. So with economy mode, you can save about 20% fuel. And then finally, the security system. We have an anti-theft device that is a standard feature that's built into every one of these. So what we'll now do is show you this in more detail. Now we're going to take a closer look into some of these features that we talked about on the compass monitor. Start off with the very top button, that's your main menu. When you hit that, you have the different features that you can get to. When you want to go back to the main screen, you just hit return. The second button is your auto idle and economy mode. So auto idle, when it's turned on and the default is on, when the machine sits idle for about 3 seconds and the hydraulics are not touched, it will automatically go to low idle. What that does is it saves you a little bit of fuel and also on your noise emissions as well, because it makes the machine a little quieter. You don't have to constantly turn the engine down. Economy mode, when you hit economy mode and OK, that turns economy mode on. What that does is it puts the engine at a setting that's about 20% lower. Going to save you about 20% fuel. With the price of fuel these days, that's a big feature that customers have been asking for. So that's a really good way to save fuel, but still maintain productivity because we do have load sensing pumps. The third button here is continuous flow. When you turn continuous flow on, it's engaged. Then all you do is you hit the right-hand roller, and when you hold it in position for about 2 seconds, it will kick continuous flow in. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and show you that in action right now. Okay, the way that the continuous flow works on the E-Series machine is you simply hit the continuous flow button on the monitor, and then you turn it on. That enables it. In order to engage it, you just use the right-hand roller switch in the same position for 2.5 seconds. It is adjustable, but it comes from the factory at 2.5 seconds. After that amount of time, you can then let go of the joystick, and as you can see here, it stays into continuous flow. What's nice about the way we do it is you can also set it in either direction and at any flow rate. So you can set it forward, backwards, at a fast flow or at a slow flow. In order to disable it or to unengage it, you just hit the button, or you can turn it off on the monitor or simply lift the arm bar or turn the machine off. The fourth button is our pattern changer. So we no longer have a valve on the floor. Of course, you don't need to get out of the cab at all. All you need to do is reach over, hit the pattern changer, and then choose whether you want backhoe pattern or excavator pattern. If you do want to change that to backhoe pattern, it's as simple as hitting the button. You're not reaching over any controls. It's extremely safe. It shows you visually, and it has in words what pattern you're in. So it's a safe, easy, fast way to change the pattern. We're also going to show you that in action right now as well. On the E-Series machines, what we've done is we've put the pattern changer into the monitor. So rather than having to change a valve on the floorboard, you can actually just do it on the monitor. So what we're showing you here is by pulling back on that right-hand joystick, typically an excavator pattern, that's going to be the boom. By simply reaching over and hitting a few buttons, you can hit your pattern changer button and then change it to backhoe in this case. And now by moving that right-hand joystick, it becomes your stick instead of your boom. So what we've done is we've made it a lot easier and simple to change the pattern, and you don't have to get out of the seat or out of the cab at all. This last button here is auxiliary flow adjustment. So just like our biggest excavators that you pay a lot of money for to be able to adjust the flow, you can do on the smallest excavators now as well. So when you hit the button, it's going to give you an adjustment between 1 and 15. At 15, it's the highest flow the machine has. We're sitting on the 304E right now. You get about 16 gallons per minute. You can adjust that down by hitting a few buttons, hit OK, and it adjusts your flow all the way down. On this machine, each bar is about a gallon per minute. So on a thumb, for example, if you have it in 15, it's going to be pretty quick. If you dial it all the way down to 1 or 2, it's going to be pretty slow. We'll go ahead and show you that in action right now as well. So now what we're going to do is we're going to show you the auxiliary flow adjustment feature. Our machine has the ability to adjust between 1 and 15. So right now we've got it in high idle. And like most mini excavators, when it is in high idle, you've got pretty quick auxiliary flow. In this case, we have a thumb, and you can see how fast it is. So what we're going to do with just a few presses of a button, we're going to, on the monitor, you dial this thing down to, in this case, we're going to dial it all the way down to 1. And then we're going to run the auxiliary hydraulics with that right-hand roller switch, and you can see how slow it becomes. So it really slows down the auxiliary flow. So in some applications where you need to pick up material and you want to have real good, fine, proportional adjustment of a thumb in this case, you want to be able to slow that down. So what we're going to do is just pick up this, this parking block, and given this application, it's a lot easier to do it when you've got the auxiliaries adjusted down. If we were in a land clearing type application or forestry demolition, you might want to have the auxiliary flow at its highest at 15, so then that thumb is quicker. But in this particular application, or if you're moving decorative rock or something like that, you're going to want to have that auxiliary flow slow down quite a bit. Now when the machines come from the factory, they're going to be set up with 5 preset buttons as you see on the screen right now. If you want to change any of those buttons, you can do it very easily. Most popular would probably be a hydraulic quick coupler. So if you do put a hydraulic quick coupler on after the machine comes from the factory, you can change that button and have it a preset. All you do is you go to Setting, Display Setting, and go to Shortcut Setting and choose which one of the shortcuts you want to be a specific button. In this case, I want the quick coupler to be button number 5. So now when I go back home, now button number 5 is quick coupler instead of auxiliary flow adjustment. So now what we have done is we've integrated on the E-Series the way that the hydraulic quick coupler works on the monitor instead of having to hit a few buttons on the panel. And what it also does, which is very nice, and you'll see here in a second, is it gives you words and icons so you can easily see what's happening on the quick coupler. So we'll go ahead and show you that in action right now. On the E-Series machine, we've integrated all of the hydraulic quick coupler controls into the compass monitor. So we're going to show you how that works. When running the hydraulic quick coupler, you want to pick the bucket up and curl it, put it in a safe position. Then all you do is you hit the button that is the corresponding coupler button on the monitor. And you have one option. It shows you an icon, and it is the back wedge. You hit that button, and it releases that rear lock. It'll start beeping at you inside the cab, so you know that something is unlocked at that point. You then roll out of the bucket, and as you can see here, the back of the bucket is not connected. And that's that back wedge that was locked. So then you would put it on the ground, make sure it's in a safe position, and then at that point you hit unlock the front lock, and also you can see the icon on the monitor. And at that point you can lift right out of the bucket, no problem. You have 10 seconds, and on the monitor it shows you the countdown of the 10 seconds. During that time it's beeping a little quicker. After 10 seconds, that front lock or the safety lock actually resets. Then you can go right back down on that pin. You'll actually hear it click into place. At that point you can lift the bucket up, and you know it's locked on tight, and as we're showing you here, it's a tight lock. And then you just curl and then hit that same front lock. In this case you're locking that back wedge, and on the monitor you can see that it's all reset. There's no beeping. You know it's locked tight. To check it, you just put it on the ground, roll out. You'll see the front of the machine lift up, and you know that you have a good tight fit on that coupler. So notice that we did all of that without getting outside of the cab. With our new dual lock hydraulic coupler, it does have 2 independent locking mechanisms, which means you can do everything from inside the cab. Now, other than those features, which are more operational and performance type features, we do have a maintenance feature on the monitor as well. In order to do that, you just hit the first button, you go to maintenance info, and this gives you all of your different service intervals. So you can see all the different service intervals that you would have are in there. If you want to reset one, for example, if you do change your fuel filter, you hit OK, and you just hit the button to reset it. So it's an easy way to maintain your maintenance intervals. If you do get within 20 hours of reaching one of your service intervals, then you'll get a real quick warning, just like you would on your car when you need to change the oil. It'll just briefly say what you need to do. So it's an easy way of maintaining your service intervals and resetting that and keeping your maintenance. Now the last thing that we've added, the last feature on the Compass display panel, is the security system, or anti-theft device. And what we have now is every machine has standard a alphanumeric password protected security system. Now the machines will come from the factory with it disabled or uninstalled, and as a customer you can choose whether you would like to set it up or not, and you get to choose what password you want. You get an owner password and up to 5 user passwords. With the owner password you can change passwords and change some features on the machine, change some settings. With the user password you basically just get to use the machine as is. So what I'm going to show you real quick is how the security system works. When you key the machine off, it'll beep at you and you get your choice. You can either lock the machine, lock it after 60 seconds, or just keep it unlocked. If you keep it unlocked, you can jump back on the machine, turn it on all day long, no problem. When you lock it, you get a 1-minute countdown. The screen will go to white and it'll have a 1-minute countdown. During this 1 minute, you can actually start the machine back up and move your machine around or whatever. After the 1 minute, the machine will be locked. In order to start the machine, you need either the owner password or one of the 5 user passwords. So at the end of the day, if you want to lock the machine so you can't have an unauthorized user use the machine, or if you're in an area where theft is a concern, then you can lock that machine like I just showed you. After that 1-minute countdown, you do need the password to start the machine. You either need the owner password or one of the 5 user passwords. I'm going to show you what that looks like right here. So when you key the machine on, the monitor will come on, and if it is locked, if you did lock it the day before, if you went to lunch and locked it, you'll see that lock symbol. You then need the password. In this case, for us, it's A1, 2, 3, 4. You enter that password, it'll read it. If it's the correct password, it goes to the main screen, and then you can start the machine just like you normally would. After keying the machine off, again, you get this same screen where you can either lock it, or if you're going to be off and on the machine, you can just unlock it. So those features right there, a very simple way of having an anti-theft device, and again, that's a standard feature that you get on every machine with our new Compass display panel. Thank you for taking the time to listen to the new features and the story about our E-Series mini excavator. As you can see, we carried over a lot of the same things that worked real well for us on the C and the D-Series machines, but we added some features primarily that you saw from that Compass control panel. So these features are ones that will help you get your job done quicker, faster, easier, more efficiently. If you need more information on this, please contact your local CAT dealer.